What's up, guys? Want to do a quick video here for you. Today is April 20th, Monday, April 20th. I hope you're doing amazing. Hans Johnson here, and pretty nervous right now. Well, I'm actually kind of excited. Welcome to those of you that are just joining us. This is actually a live broadcast. Maybe we'll use the video for something else or not. Depends on how crazy it is. But there's an email going on out right now, basically letting people that, hey, Helen, you pre-ordered. That's amazing. Thank you, guys. So I got, yesterday was Sunday, and I started getting messages from some of our clients that they had already received their book. And I'm talking about the True Wealth Formula book, and I was a little bit like, I was super excited for them, but then I was like, what the hell? I haven't even got mine yet. And so anyway, I was kind of like pumped about that and excited because they were posting photos and stuff. And then I was like, man, that's kind of lame, you know? I busted my ass on this project for over 4 years, and I don't even have a copy. So, but anyway, I'm super stoked because I went to my my mailbox, and yay! I actually have a copy of my own book with me now, which is pretty wild stuff. So if you haven't heard, True Wealth Formula, the book is out. It's going to be available in Amazon, I guess eventually in other places as well. And it's going to go on sale tomorrow. Actually, it can be pre-ordered. I have no idea what the hell if the pre-ordering, we're supposed to like coordinate orders all on the same day to try to get bestseller status and all this stuff. And a bunch of people have already started pre-ordering it, and some people have already had it delivered. So I have no idea. If you guys want to pre-order, you're welcome to. But tomorrow, so this is the book, True Wealth Formula. I'm getting ahead of myself. True Wealth Formula: How to Master Money, Live Free, and Build a Legacy. And I'll just comment on that title right there, or the subtitle: How to Master Money, Live Free, and Build a Legacy. We talk a lot about money and investing and how to manage money and how to not be a slave to money. And it's funny because money can be a very sort of controversial topic. It can be something that provokes a lot of feelings in different people. Everything from fear to greed are the obvious emotions, but all kinds of other things too. And in my case, I grew up poor on the streets in Hawaii, grew up on welfare, basically government assistance. Back then it was called food stamps. Now it's EBT and all kinds of other names. And my mom was a single mom. My brother and I grew up, basically, we moved like every 3 to 6 months, lived in a different neighborhood. I slept on a box spring, mattress on a porch on what they call a lanai in Hawaii. So I didn't have any stability. We were moving constantly. It was a rough neighborhood. I used to basically get, it was a crazy way to grow up, man. I was this, this stocky white kid growing up in a very multicultural, colored neighborhood. Nowadays you can't even say half the terms that we used to say when we were kids because, we're in this hypersensitive, politically correct, every word you say is a racist word. And in the environment that I grew up, I was the minority, so I used to get beat up and chased. There was days we'd go to school barefoot when we were little kids, and I would. There were times at school where I'd have to basically, the school would be like 4.5 miles or so. It was way at the top of the mountain. And there were times where I'd have to walk home basically because of just getting just pounded, right, by these big Samoans, and we used to call them mokes. these Tahitians and Samoans and Hawaiians, and I'm kind of an intense guy. I guess I imagine I probably had that intensity when I was young. If I'm not smiling, people think I'm really angry, and so I have to make sure and smile a lot. So anyway, that caused me a lot of problems when I was a kid growing up, and so yeah, you imagine walking like miles and miles after school, being 8, 9, 10 years old, no shoes or anything like that, and just walking home so that you could avoid the bus so you didn't get the living tar pounded out of you. So that was my upbringing. We moved. There's probably not a neighborhood in that side of the island that I didn't live in. When I go back home to visit my best friend Chris and my original mentor Damien, and my mom still lives on the island, and other friends, it's always really nostalgic for me, because there's not a single part of that island, walking or driving, that I don't have some kind of a memory. And most of them are pretty good, but in some cases there's some tough memories. But overall, it was a really neat way to grow up. This was basically in the 80s. I'm 47 today, at least last time I checked. And so I started at a very early age learning to work. I would come home from school and pick plumeria flowers off of the plumeria trees and make these flower necklaces. Go downtown to the local village and sell these to the tourists. There would be tourists that would come into town a couple times a week, and basically sell these plumeria leis to make money for school clothes, food, things like that. And I don't know. I guess I just thought, man, this is kind of cool. At least there's something productive that I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sure that at the time, I was 8 years old. So, I just remembered that if I wanted to do something, like, go play video games or something like that, and if I didn't have any money, which we didn't ever, I could figure out a way to go make that money. I learned very early on that work was good, and I learned that if I wanted something bad enough, I could work for it. And those lessons are just incredible lessons. Super thankful for that opportunity. But in the midst of that, growing up in poverty and everything, I had dreams. Wanted to someday. I think at 12 years old was the first time that I consciously remember. I remember sitting on the porch in my, this is one of the places that we were living, one of the many, again, because we would move every couple months because we couldn't pay rent, or a lot of different reasons. Lived between different places, houses, anyway. And at 12 years old, I remember thinking, God, someday I want to be a millionaire. Someday I want to be financially free and independent, and I don't want my kids to have to go through and be brought up the same way I was. And, met my wife when I was 18. She became my business mentor, Danny Johnson at DannyJohnson.com. She's doing a seminar this weekend, First Step to Success, virtual seminar event. And I know that event's going to be amazing. I started getting into business. I'm kind of speeding through some things, but the point is that we made a lot of money over the years and did a lot of things, but there's some lessons about money. And I guess kind of the reason why I went into this is that, when you talk about money, people it's very polarizing, and it can be very controversial, because money basically represents resources, and to a large extent, at a very primal level, it represents our very survival. And we live in a society today, in a very modern society. We live in a debt-based global economy. Our global economy is essentially completely dependent on debt, and that debt-based economy. That debt-based global economy is completely dependent on debt slaves to build that and fund that. And so this book that goes on sale tomorrow we have clients that we've, now I think publicly I started teaching these concepts at least 15 years ago. We have some clients that have been strong with us for 10 years plus, others that are new. And this system, this is a methodology and a system and a framework for thinking, for managing money, for investing. And it's something that has evolved over time. It's something that is in continual process of being challenged and stress tested and refined. I was very fortunate when I was young in Hawaii, given that background that I told you about. When I was 12 years old, I started doing some martial arts training. And I met a man who named Damien, he's in the book, who was a multimillionaire, and he was my martial arts instructor. And I didn't know it at the time, but he would talk about the difference between the 1% and the 99%. And he said that the 99%, basically they look for one reason to quit, to stop, to give up. And the 1%, no matter what, they keep on going. They don't give up. And crazy to hear a message like that when you're a young kid. Later on, he saw that I was really motivated and interested in business and success and wealth. And he taught me this secret. He said the number one key to wealth is to get your money working for you instead of you working for your money. And I thought, oh my God, I just got the lottery. I can't believe it. This multimillionaire just gave me this secret to wealth, And I wrote that down on a piece of paper, and I never forgot it, And I just thought, oh my God, that's it, that's it, And we built business, and we're making money and helping people make money and doing stuff, and I just thought the whole time, God, I know the secret to wealth. Just get your money working for you instead of you working for your money, And this is just so classic because this is how we are. Is we're so programmed, and our human nature and our human psychology is so conditioned to having questions, looking for answers to those questions, and then once we get the answer to that question, we think we have the answer. And oftentimes, in fact, most of the time, the answer is not the actual answer. The answer just creates more questions. And, you can look through your life and you could probably, see that. And the more complicated and chaotic our system and our world has gotten, the more that's true. The more you have an endless amount of experts and authorities and gurus and this and that's, and we live in a really complicated world. There's just nothing anymore that's simple. Least of which finance and investing and money management. And you get all these different opinions. You read different books. Every different book you read, you get different ideas. You hear different stories, you get some concepts, you get a tip or an idea or two. You go to a seminar, you get some ideas or two, you get a tip, you meet somebody, you get excited, you pop open Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and you see a video like this, and you say, oh my God, that's just great, you order the book, whatever, and so, but that whole time, what we're doing is we're just stuffing our head with more and more information. And the more information we stuff our heads with, the more confused we get. We get motivated for a little bit in time. It fills that need, that psychological, human nature, primal need that we have to basically get an answer to a question. And we get that little dopamine hit and we feel good, right, for a little while. And then we get distracted. Life goes on, and meanwhile, a week passes by, a month passes by, a year passes by, 5 years pass by, 10 years pass by, and nothing's changed. We got more information. We're smarter, quote, smarter. We know more. We have more answers to more questions. People can ask us a question and we can answer it. We can raise our hand and, I got it. I know the answer. We can, type some cool sounding stuff on social media. We can pop, we can even be an expert, but life, we look at our life and maybe we're making more money. Maybe our business has grown, but the classic pattern across the board is the more money you make, the more debt you increase. And so that's a correlation that is across the board. And you can look at your own life and you can see if this is true or not. The older you get, typically the pattern is your income increases, whether you're getting promotions and better job opportunities or whatever. You're increasing your skill set, so you're getting a promotion, or you're starting a business, or you've learned how to start new businesses and do well. You found a good opportunity, good product, whatever it is, and you're making more money. But the correlation and the pattern across the board, with very, very few exceptions, is the more money you make, the more debt you have. Yes, you're driving a nicer car, you're living in a nicer neighborhood, you're eating out at nicer restaurants. But studies have already been done that the more that there's a limit to the amount of money you make. Making more money does not necessarily mean that you will have an equal amount of more happiness. So you can double your income, and only up to a certain point, and the amount is about $75,000 a year. At about that point, if you go from like $35,000 a year to $70,000 a year, there's a direct correlation between doubling your income and doubling your happiness. But then what happens is, so you would think, you would go, oh, well, that means if I double my income again and I go from 75 to 150,000, I'm going to double my happiness again. And that's where it starts to break down. And so, in fact, there's a point in the correlations and the statistics that actually what happens is that what starts happening is that the more money you make, the more miserable you end up getting, the more pressure you have, the more burden it becomes, the more you're trying to manage in your life, and the more chaos things are. And the less freedom you end up having. And yes, again, you drive a nicer car, you get recognition from people, you live in a nicer neighborhood, you're eating at nicer restaurants, maybe you're going on nicer trips. But what is that? That's just consumption. That's just more and more consumption, right? And so that's not building wealth. That's not becoming a wealth builder, and that's not understanding how to become the master over money. That's just still being the same debt slave and the same basically product of our programming that we've always been. And so these are the statistics. These are the common patterns across time, across demographics, across income, earnings, age groups, education levels, with very few exceptions. There's some exceptions, and particularly with certain temperaments and type of personality traits, but it's a very, very small minority. I mean, I'm talking less than 1%. And so the typical correlation is you make more money, you spend more, you have more debt. And then there's a second correlation, and that is that you could be very, very successful, quote, successful, but not understand some of these core money principles that I talk about in this book. And as the timeline continues, you don't have the right kind of assets on your balance sheet. You have assets that are high risk, high leverage, and negative cash flow. They make you poorer and poorer every single month, every quarter, every year, instead of richer and richer every single month, every single year. And so for me, going back to the beginning of this video, when I got that secret, man, the key to wealth is get your money working for you instead of you working for your money. And I thought, God, I got it. I got the secret. Well, that just became like this riddle, my whole life. And I moved away from Hawaii at 18. Met my wife, Danny. We fell in love. Started a family. Started businesses together. So through the course of time, that quote secret, that answer, which was really more like a riddle that had to be unraveled and figured out, it was just like in my brain. It was driving me crazy because we were making more money, we were doing all this stuff, but I started to think, okay, there's got to be something else. And like you, I had been exposed to all kinds of stuff out there, different books, training seminars, philosophies. Different concepts on money and wealth and investing. Thought, man, this sounds great. Wow, this is so cool. And I would get that dopamine hit. I'd feel good. I'd get motivated for a little bit. And then a week would go by, a month would go by, a year would go by. Nothing really changes. And so it just, for me, it started this quest that really started very earnestly 2 decades ago, at least 20 years ago. I mean, the questioning and it was before that, but this concept of what the hell is money? You know, what is wealth? And more importantly, what is true wealth? What is the difference between what we have in the world, which is, this illusion of prosperity, right? And this bait, right, of material possession and prosperity. And the reason why I call it an illusion is because it's not very stable. And you can see that by what's going on right now with this COVID-19 crisis and, the stock market crashing, and it went back up and now it's going back down again. And, oil today the futures contracts went into the negative. I mean, like, the world is just crazy, right? And so you see that how, and this is all after the strongest economy in 50 years and the longest running bull market in history. And we're just not even 2 months away from that. We're a month and a half from that. And people are, and everything crashed, and people are in chaos and mayhem and struggling and layoffs and unemployed and all this kind of thing. And so if you ask me, I say that is a product of our modern system and our modern society and all the stuff that goes with that I talk about in this book, and I rant and rave on this channel, like all the videos we've been doing recently. That is a product of the illusion of prosperity, of false prosperity through overconsumption, through debt, and through speculation. And that is not how I'm talking about the elites, the wealthy. I'm talking about intergenerational wealth. I'm talking about wealth and patterns of the wealthy that have been consistent throughout time, since going back to biblical days, since going back to ancient days, ancient writings, ancient texts, patterns throughout history, right? There are certain patterns of wealth building. There are certain methodologies used, right? And what we are exposed to, and we're trained in all the different books and all the different seminars and all the different experts and all the freaking information that we're given out there is this modern day system. And this system today is very fragile. And so True Wealth Formula is this book. This book is me freaking hacking that system and just saying, what the frick? This is messed up. This freaking entire system is a joke. There's gotta be something more to this. And I was absolutely I was tired of the freaking game. Tired of more information, get the dopamine hit, right? Feel good, right? Month goes by, year goes by, right? Same old thing. Or so either no real progress besides more income, more consumption, more debt, more gambling, okay, speculating, wrong kind of assets on the balance sheet, or a cycle of a boom and bust cycle, which is what's going on right now. You get a lot of people, a lot of success, boom, you're going to have people crash and burn during this economic thing that's going on, and you're never going to hear from them again. And these are big names that are out there. So I just got sick of that, and I just said, God, there's got to be something different. And I took a step back, and for whatever reason, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a freaking curse. My brain, if stuff doesn't add up, if it doesn't make sense, my brain goes freaking haywire, and it starts just trying to figure it out. And if it doesn't add up or doesn't make sense, or if there's a contradiction, I tend to step back and I go, okay, there's got to be something else. There's something missing here. It's like a puzzle to be solved or something. Again, a riddle to be solved. And and so I keep stepping back and I go, okay, so over the years I've learned, and I have a background in marketing and business and product development, and I just learned to look at patterns. And there's a saying that I've said, our clients have heard it for years, heard me say it. And I've said this for years and years and years. Time is truth. And you've heard the saying that history repeats itself. Well, why does history repeat itself? History repeats itself okay? And there are cycles in history. There's long-term cycles, there's medium and short-term cycles. History repeats itself over and over and over again. Some people say, well, history doesn't, history may not repeat, but it does rhyme. Okay, that's another way of saying that the patterns repeat. Well, the reason why is because human nature, what's going on inside your monkey brain and my monkey brain, and if that's offensive, then that's not my problem. Okay, but there are at minimum thousands of years, and some people, there are some evidence / theory / whatever that believes tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. There's some evidence now in places like Egypt and Turkey and other places in the world, not just through carbon dating, but through the procession of the stars in the sky, because there is a procession that resets every 25,000 years, right? And there are structures that have been found now that are 12,000, 14,000 years old and then some. So for at a minimum thousands and thousands of thousands of years, at a very core, absolute core level in you and in me and in all of us, we have certain emotions that we feel, certain primal stuff that's about us, of why we feel the way we do, why we think the way we do, why we make decisions the way we do. And if we don't, this gets into the whole, some of the ancient truths and understanding, simple thing that you've all heard, know thyself. What does that mean? That means you better figure out who the hell you are, man. There's not a lot in today's modern system and modern world that can answer that question. And so we have to step back and we have to learn to, so in my case, I just said, you know what? It's not adding up. It's not making sense. It's just creating more and more confusion. And I kept looking for a system. I wanted a system, and I wanted something that wasn't just based on this modern, fragile, debt-based global economy, right? I wanted something that, okay, if I say, okay, here's a financial wealth-building system, I want to that I am working out, okay, over the course of many years, testing on myself and different things. I said, okay, if there's some system here, I want to unplug it from this modern world, and I want to plug it back into a hypothetical world 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. And yes, there's big differences in our modern day, modern world, modern technology, but at its very core, could this system, is it something that has that level that's evergreen? Right? That is not something that every time this freaking crazy world changes, that you have to learn some new crazy thing. That you got to be chasing every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and every ad that pops up on social media that's advertising to you saying, look at me, 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 I'm your answer, I'm your answer, I'm your answer. And so to me, that was my quest, man. It was just, frick, this stuff ain't adding up. And doing a lot of research, a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing, a lot of mistakes, a lot of journaling, looking for those patterns. And that's what this book is. That's what True Wealth Formula is it's what I call a master wealth building strategy that articulates a set of common patterns and a methodology of thinking about and understanding the world around us and how we manage money, right? Which, first and foremost, how we manage ourselves, because our relationship with money, and this is what I was saying earlier, how to master money and live free, and build a legacy. Our relationship with money is our relationship with ourselves. Right? This is why the Creator said, and a lot of people get this mixed up. He said, you can either, worship money. You can't have two gods. You either worship the Creator or you worship money. Right? Well, what is money? Money represents resources. Okay? So people say that. So people hear that and they go, well, money's evil. Money's the root of all evil. That's not what it means. It means that you have to prioritize and you have to know who your real provider and your creator is. He owns everything. He owns the earth. you know. And if you think he's a she, then that's fine, whatever. Or it's the universe or whatever it is. Bottom line is, you and I, we're gonna be dust. You know, we're gonna be gone, and whoever we think we are or think we have, that's gonna remain. We're gonna return to where we came from. Okay, and so that's his, right? But in the meantime, money is I often talk about it. It's a fear gauge, is what it really is. And so how to master money, live free, and build a legacy. So anyway, you know, it's an answer to that question, right? What is money? What is wealth? More importantly, what is true wealth, right? How do we define it? If we can't define it, then that's messed up, because we're spending our whole life, and if we say, well, I don't care about money, I don't really care. Well, that's fine. You don't have to want to be rich or wealthy for true wealth formula, because true wealth is not about being rich, because true wealth is first and foremost in the heart. So True Wealth Formula is a book that's for everybody. It's a book for somebody who really doesn't care much about money, just wants to basically be happy and live a good life. How about health? Is health part of wealth? Good health, that's true wealth. How about relationships? Having positive relationships, not perfect relationships, but healthy relationships in your life. Is that true wealth? Definitely, you know. So it's an issue of priority. And then, are there patterns? Are there patterns throughout history, right, that you and I repeat, because we do, because that's in us. And then our world system that is just, again, it's a debt-based system, and it's designed to birth us into a society of consumption, debt, and greed and overconsumption. Okay, that's our system. All the advertising that you see, you know, everything, because that's that part of our human nature, and it's fear-based. You know, so can we actually can we actually become the master? That's the question. And that was the question that was in my mind. And if so, how? And what I found through research, again, through looking at overlaying history, historical patterns, overlaying the human nature component, overlaying studying ancient texts, biblical texts, other texts, that yes, actually, it's not only can you, but either you must be the master of money, or you will always be its slave. There is no in between. And so if that's true, and again, this is not about making millions of dollars or whatever, although the systems, the formulas, the exact step-by-step stuff that's in here is applicable and scalable all the way up to a Fortune 500 company. I talked about that on a video I did just recently on how to build a fortress balance sheet. Scalable all the way up. That was the other thing I was looking for. I was like, this is ridiculous. The way you interface with money and the way you manage money, wealth or assets or whatever, it can't be different at one level and then something totally different up here. There's got to be some universal principles and concepts and systems and patterns and structures that's totally transferable. So any person in between, but you know, that's what this book is. I've had a lot of people, and I saw a couple of people just ask on this. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it was really weird today getting this today, and actually, because up until today I thought, God, we're gonna launch this book, and all I'm gonna have is a PDF. Man, this is gonna suck. So I'm really happy that I finally got my copy today, and obviously, like, crazy amount of work that went into this, so ridiculous. Maybe tomorrow. This video's gone longer than I thought it was going to go. I think maybe tomorrow I'll talk a little bit about the process. If I forget, maybe somebody can remind me, but oh my God. So one guy, I'll finish with this. Somebody asked recently, and I saw one on here, and it's on Amazon. Apparently, it can be pre-ordered. We're supposed to not order it until tomorrow is the actual day it goes officially. I have no idea how it works. I've been so slammed, and the team here, Cabe and Issa, and everybody's just been doing an amazing job. I'm so thankful to you guys. If this book does well, it's because of you. It's not because of anything we've done here. It's totally going to be because of you guys. So I have no idea if the pre-orders are counting towards getting on a bestseller thing or not. It is in Amazon right now, and anyway. I'm going to really need your help to spread the word on this thing and do it as gifts. Tomorrow I'm going to be announcing something that's crazy, ridiculous. I'm super pumped about this idea that we came up with, and we're going to be doing something just really crazy on this. And I really hope that you guys are excited about it as well. So I do want to finish with this. I saw a couple people ask here, and then also I had a question recently, and this was really well put from somebody who's kind of skeptical, and they're saying, hey, how much is this, and it was regarding the book, how much of it is partial truth or solution? How much of the book is a partial truth or solution that leads you to subscribe to the service? And that's a valid question. And it's something I would be thinking, because almost every book now you get out there is just a freaking sales letter. You know, they're designed to basically give you a little bit of information, you know, and get you excited and then into something. And obviously we do have our implementation program, our annual subscription, you know, at truewealthformula.com/special offer. If you're not on our mailing list, get to that site, truewealthformula.com, and at least opt in, get a name and a decent and a good email address on there, and we'll, you know, for alerts and this and stuff. And then if you want to sign up in our implementation program, you just go to truewealthformula.com/special offer. But anyway, that's a valid question, and it goes right to the crux of why I wrote this book, right to the crux of TWF, because as I just got done telling you guys, I was sick of that game. I was sick of all the books and the seminars and the information, the freaking TMFNI, man. Too much freaking information, you know? And that's all it is. And so the answer to that question is this book. This book is the whole system. I mean, there was nothing. If anything, there was nothing that was written in this that I wrote this book from the standpoint of holding something back, of trying to just. We don't even have a sales funnel, a marketing funnel set up for this. Right? It's launching straight through Amazon. You know, we don't get any data from Amazon. There's no upsells. There's no nothing. Okay. So this book, this book was years of my life and the writing process. Like, it was rewritten so many times, and then it got edited by really smart editors. People that are literary people, and they're amazing. They did an incredible job and helped. But I had to rewrite the whole thing because they add a bunch of words and commas and they make it all grammatically perfect. And I was like, that's not how I write. You know, so they took my words and then they massaged it. And so it was rewritten again, you know, and I thought, well, no, I want this thing's got to be really direct and not have a lot of fluff, and it needs to be something. This week I'm going to be getting on every day at 4 p.m. Central Time. I don't know what time zone you're in, but just make a note, jump on this every day this week. Obviously, we got to give this the best push that we can, and if it does well, it's because of you guys. It's not because of me. But this book was written in a way to really make it easy to read and to make it very direct. And my answer to the guy that asked this question, I said, you know what? I said, actually, the book, it was written, I wrote the book for me. I wrote the book to document this process for myself and my closest family and friends and clients. That's why the book was written. The book wasn't written because I started working on this 4 years ago. And had a desire years before that, and obviously people over the years going, God, you got to write a book, dude. And so I said, I don't, so I didn't write this at that time. We didn't even have the True Wealth Formula implementation program, the subscription. We didn't have that. So I was, it'll ship to Canada. It's Amazon. The Kindle version is gonna be 99 cents, but tomorrow I'm gonna give you a good reason why you're gonna want the paperback. So 4 years ago, I started writing this thing, so I wasn't writing it to create some kind of like, to just build out some crazy funnel and do whatever. I just thought I want to document this because this system, True Wealth Formula, and the lessons that are in this book have been, the price for this has been great. It has been freaking hairy. It's been insane. And I don't want to forget that. I don't want it to get lost. And so if for nothing else, this book was written so that I could remember. So that the system of TWF would be documented and in written form, and that it would be there, and so that someday I could turn back and I could look at it, and because I'm weird. I like to go back in 5 years, in 10 years, and I'm gonna freaking challenge this thing, and I'm gonna find all the FOS that's in here, But the good benefit that you have is this is after 20 years of trial and error and stress testing these concepts and these systems and bouncing them off of other really high, people. Basically, again, patterns. What are the patterns that can be duplicated? And now what's cool with technology and our Wealth Builder app, and there's just some really cool, exciting stuff that we're going to be able to do. So that's the book. There's nothing held back in it. If you have family and friends, or you have business people that that could benefit from it, you want to use it as a gift or something like that, it goes on sale tomorrow at Amazon.com, and I'll be doing a video every day here, and tomorrow I'm going to make an announcement on something that we're going to be doing. If you pre-order today, it'll count towards that announcement tomorrow. So but I'm going to need your help for this, like in a huge way, and I think you're going to like it. I think it's going to be a good thing. So let me see if there's any question I can. I wrote it for me, gold. Yeah, seriously. Thank you. Yeah, boy, I appreciate it. A lot of work. Okay, Lenny says, is there anything in the book that's not in the TWF implementation course, or is the book the course in the book form? No, the book is not the course or the implementation program in book form. The implementation program is I would say this. I'll say that this book is going to elaborate and fill in some gaps in both space and time. And so I would say that if you're a TWF IP member, this book is because think about this, the way that the mind and the brain works is that we learn and we bring in, we have 5 senses, right? Okay. Sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Okay. So think about the way that we learn. We learn through visual. We learn through hearing. So in the implementation program, we have audios, we have videos, we have the worksheets, the PDF worksheets that you print out. But some people learn different. Some people learn better through videos. Some people learn through audio. Some people learn through visuals, and some people learn through reading, right? And so this book should definitely be thought of as supplemental to the implementation program. But the big difference is so this is the system, but implementation program is it's implementation. It's action item. Do this, do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So and it's the community that we have in our private Facebook group of members, the accountability, the monthly Q&As that I do where I answer your guys' questions and things like that. So yeah, there's but the book is going to be great for an introduction to people, and again, people learn in different ways, different price points, for getting it documented in writing. So I think you'll find the methodology and the consistencies to be there, and I think that you'll find you're going to get some backfilling on where TWF came from and how it evolved and developed, and some different examples and stories, and about every 3 or 4 paragraphs there's a different subject or a headline, and it's I'm looking forward to hearing you guys' feedback on it. And we're going to need a lot of reviews on Amazon. If you guys get the book, I would recommend you get the, if you get the paperback, get the digital version too, so you can start reading it right away and get on and do a review. I'll explain more of that tomorrow. So that was a good question. For my legacy, well, yes. God, I would love to be able to sign it. I don't know if there's a way to, if we meet in person someday, or when we meet in person someday, Amy, bring the book and we'll definitely do that. Okay. All right, guys, thanks for jumping on. There's some good questions on here. Somebody asking about, I mentioned historical life stories in the book. How many transform your financial mindset? Yeah, I mean, all of them. Obviously, we're all, TWF, a huge part of TWF is mindset, because if you don't get the mindset right, that's why in the True Wealth Formula Implementation Program, like the very first module is Millionaire Mind, right? Millionaire Mindset, because we've got to deal with that program. We have those embedded programs. We have our conscious mind, which is our conscious thought, and that's when we ask a question, we get an answer, and then we feel smart, and we get that dopamine hit and all that kind of stuff, and then we're just like chasing rabbits, and there's 10,000 questions. There's no end to the questions. No end to them, but that subconscious or that unconscious or non-conscious or whatever freaking word they use nowadays, don't matter, it's the same damn thing. That's the 800-pound gorilla. That's the thing that is operating off of the most primal instincts and primal emotions. That's the thing that where those programs, since we were born, all the advertising, TV, internet, social media, all the advertising that's out there, and this is I guess a unique for me, because of having a background doing a lot of marketing projects and things like that. Marketing and sales is human psychology, and so how do we think? Why do you think it is that no matter how much money you make, right? And this is the pattern, and it does again, with very few exceptions: more money, more debt. Pay off the debt, go back into debt. Pay off the debt, go back into debt, right? Make some money and then speculate and take risky gambling, and there's no actual system. There's no actual methodical wealth building system, right? And so this is because that part of our mind is in control. Prime example, we can have this, we can have the greatest plan and be on track and saving money and doing our thing, and then all of a sudden something happens, get in a car accident or meet somebody special or something like that, and then that plan just goes out the window, and we're just blowing our money and doing stuff, and we'll rationalize it. We'll say, I'm doing this because of da-da-da-da. No, you're not. You're doing it because that freaking 800-pound gorilla back there is in control. He's just making you think you're in control, So TWF had to address that issue in me and in the system and around. And history serves as the example of that, because history has patterns. Why does history repeat? Why is our country and the world in this economic cycle that it is right now? Because patterns repeat. And they repeat over and over again, and that's because we have those programs are running. So yeah. Anyway, that's more than enough for now. Okay, I think, guys, True Wealth Formula, How to Master Money, Live Free, and Build a Legacy. It's on sale. Amazon goes on sale tomorrow, April 21st. And I'll be making a special announcement tomorrow, so make sure and head over to truewealthformula.com and enter your name and email address. Or if you want to get more information on our implementation program, you can go to truewealthformula.com/special offer, and you can get that info. We'll be putting a special announcement out tomorrow that's going to be pretty exciting stuff. I hope you guys are doing amazing. God bless. Thanks for being here. We'll talk again tomorrow. 4 o'clock tomorrow. I might end up doing others, but at least at 4 p.m. every day, we'll get on here. All right.